Welcome back to Hearts of Iron 3. Boy, I started to mess that up. Hearts of Iron 3 Black Ice 9.11, and of course we're playing as Japan. This is Gamer1745 here. Alright. I'm guessing you pronounce it Schurters. Made a very, very good recommendation. He recommended putting a level 10 airbase here for our... We will be having, even if whether I want to build through here or not, we have land connectables through here that are quite defensible if we just wanted to be on the defensive. But we're going to be having a land war with Burma, besides whatever we may do through Siam or naval invasions. And yes, I'm bemoaning the fact that we can't. Well, we have this. Oh, here, yeah, no, we can't get through there. Okay, build an airbase there, so we will do that. Let's get that started. And I also thought if we are trying to push a bit more down into this part of Burma, maybe an airbase here, just at least a level 1. You can always overstack. This is my understanding of it. You can overstack an airbase almost as much as you want, and so long as the province is getting supplies, the air units will effectively fly out of there. What it is they won't do is repair. They'll reorganize. So if you fly a bunch of missions, they get disorganized. You stop them flying, they just sit there. They'll reorganize. Maybe slower, I'm not sure. But they won't repair damage, or they'll only be repairing one unit. Really is what it is, one unit at a time. So, it's basically, so if you get significantly shot up units, you want to fly them out. Excuse me. You want to fly them out to another bigger air bases or just more air bases to efficiently repair your units is what you want to do with that. But you don't, but if so, you can operate out of somewhere that's a bit underdeveloped effectively, at least for short terms. Well, I think that's reasonable. Okay, we've got a lot of stuff here that I don't really need to deploy, so we're not going to deploy them. And we got a little bit more. Turkeys may last a long time, obviously, if the war kicks off here soon. We may not trade with Poland, may not last that long. And I decided not to be gamey and try to have an endless war, either trying to defeat Tibet by invasion, or just having it and, sitting on the defensive here or somewhere else. I want to... Okay, I'm going to stop our attack there, because since we're puppeting them, I want to leave their armed forces as intact as we can. Now maybe they're going to force me into... Okay, well... As you may have noted in my last video, we're moving much more into infrastructure building after we complete this stuff, because we will have basically all of 40, probably most of 41. We'll have to read the world and how it's going. As you may know, I'm still there were some technical reasons that slowed it up, but then I solved the technical reasons. But then they've been teasing 9.2 for Black Ice for some time now. And I've sort of been waiting for that. I may talk to Das G and see what he says. Try to get some sort of commitment out of him on time frames. Because, look, I totally understand that, hey, we have these really great new features and we just are playtesting and, balancing out. No, we found a few bugs and we're trying to find a way to fix them, and that, that takes the amount of time that it takes, and real life gets in the way. I totally get that because I'm a modder too. I totally get that. But there's also the idea of we've done enough. We've added enough new stuff. There can be, oh, well, we have this great new feature. Let's add that too while we're at it. Oh, and we come up and figure out that. Okay, yeah, but we can do that too, but it's going to take a bunch of work to change it all, and it's all going to be great. And so you could constantly add more and more stuff. And in a way, I like that better than every 6 or 8 weeks a new version of Black Ice comes out, because I'm not just talking about new versions that fix bugs. I'm talking about new versions with new features that may fix old bugs but introduce new bugs. That's been definitely the way Black Ice has been at times. And so I would rather have bigger, slower updates, but I sort of want to know what they think, because I do want to do a multiplayer session. Oh, and mentioning multiplayer, this coming Saturday, if you're watching it this week fairly live, not live, but within a few days, we're going to be playing a big multiplayer Hearts of Iron 4 game with the Black Ice Hearts of Iron 4 Black Ice devs, and I'll be streaming it. But I want to put together a multiplayer campaign of Hearts of Iron 3 and make it a big epic thing. And one of the I'm not in any way trying to because I'm at least planning on it, subject to change, and there's a couple of things I could see changing that would change it, but subject to my current plans are for me to play Germany, and I like to find a few other YouTubers, and yeah, once I get things down, I'll contact a couple of those that I know that play, but who would want to record it from their other nations' perspectives and put it out. But some of the things, sort of house rules of when certain nations get to declare war, because I am, like I said, I'm not trying to set it up so that I, as Germany, wins, but big question: when does America get to go to war? That's a serious question here. When does America get to go to war? Hearts of Iron 4 sort of has that whole, world tension thing that, yeah, and that's basically what it was designed for. I don't know if it was announced publicly, I know that. But that was its whole design function, is if you can keep the world tension levels down low enough, you can keep America from coming into the war. Okay. But at some point they are, so you just sort of, if you're going to take out Britain and then take out Soviet Union, and at some point world tension is going to get enough that America can come in. We don't quite have that mechanic, but we have several others. But there was a massive movement in America to keep America out of the war, and we don't have a good way, in my opinion, and that can get America into the war, but without it being vigorously into the war. Meaning like FDR finally just, we're declaring war on Germany. There would be a lot of people out there that would be very upset about that. If FDR ever declared war on Germany, there would be a lot of people out there, but Germany, fortunately for FDR, declares war on the United States a day or so after Japan had, attacked Pearl Harbor and declared war itself. So Hitler sort of like, oh, well, yeah, because FDR still hadn't, because when he does his famous speech that, December 8th or whatever it was, I think it was the next day, since the infamous attack, we're now stating that we are in a state of war with the Empire of Japan, and he does use those Empire of Japan, and asking for recognition basically of this from the Senate, which is a declaration of war. Yeah, okay. So that's that really pisses off all the American people, and so all the American people are like, yeah, let's get Japan. They attacked us. They weren't all like, yeah, let's go get them Nazis and Italian fascists too. No, it was everybody going after Japan and thinking, yeah, we may also have to deal with the Germans and the Italians. But then they declare war on the United States. So it's like, well, okay, they declared war on us. So, yep, we got to ramp all this stuff up and go to war. How do you, easily say that you can only go to war economy, or instead of, total economy, or you can only go to basic mobilization as the U.S. if you go to war, if not attacked first. It's a little harder to do with some of that stuff and in-house rules. So it just sort of, if the Axis doesn't directly attack the United States, declare war on it, when do they get to declare war? Because if we're playing the game and, yeah, we've taken out Canada and Mexico and our big armies are sitting here, Japan's down here and Germany's up here or something, or whatever it is, and we're all getting ready to invade, well, now can we fight? Obviously at that point, America may be able to be crushed. But what would be the conditions? And that's sort of something in my head, because I'll tell you, as a person who's playing Germany, I want to delay America's entry into it. But I also want to realistically say, well, when would they, under what conditions would they have gone in? Is the fall of Moscow going to trigger it? I don't, at what point, even if we haven't declared war, does the U.S. get to come into the game? That's one thing that, I'm still thinking on. And it's only fair to the players, because the purpose of making the series, the purpose of it is to make, shall we use the term, good television, something interesting to watch. Now, just because December 7th, 1941 rolls around, does that with a human playing Japan, maybe they'll want to declare war because they'll have all their fleets and everything ready to go, and it'll just be time and we all think it's ready to go. That may happen. But we may go, hey, yeah, if we just delay it until June 42, we'll have taken out Moscow and Leningrad and Stalingrad, and, so we'll be ready for it now, but at what point? And so this way, now once America's at war with Germany and, the Axis in general, I don't see any thing, unless something looks really stupid or really, really out there. I want them to fight as hard as they can, build as many armored divisions as they can, and carriers and aircraft and bombers, and just try to hammer all of the Axis players. I want that once they're in the war. It's sort of, what conditions do they get to get in the war? That's sort of limiting. Getting the other one, of course, is the Soviet Union. Do they ever get to declare war against the Axis? And do they get to declare war on, if it's on, we take London, or, I don't know, that's kind of thing. But I want to have that spelled out so all the players know it beforehand. And so I want the Soviet player, because I would love to play against a human Soviet player that basically understands that more or less they don't get to declare war on the Axis. They've got to accept the basic whatever trade deals that are set up. So they accept the trade deals, both the stuff in game and does this, even though they know the war's coming. They accept the trade deals, and they get to build up their best defensive or counteroffensive or whatever plan that they can do. And so they know it's coming. The players do, obviously, know it's coming, but they have to sort of pretend like, well, they might attack us, so we're going to be really prepared, but we're going to try to delay it by being nice to Germany as long as we can. Instead of like, oh, yeah, we get to jump Germany early or something like that. No, it's going to be, but then to see how well a human player can defend Soviet Union, including pre-war buildup, that kind of thing. And that would be the challenge, That would be the challenge, and I think that would be very good. And they may be able to overrun Germany, at that point, and that's great. That'd make great television. Is whether it's in near the historical date in 41, or when I have to do it in early, spring of 42, whatever the date is. I'm normally crushing the Soviets. How well could a human player defend against that? Build a defensive line, because I don't know if you've watched. I know many of you do. I've seen a few of you post, on the Benjamin Magnus forums, and he did the Magnus line or whatever somewhere around wherever along some river or something, I forget, but fortifications that he was planning, or that he sort of held deep and built forts and whatnot there or whatever. And I'd love to play against a human and to see how they can be creative, realistic, and try to just abandon all of this territory and just go, yep, Germany gets to get it, they get to race, but we've got forts and armored divisions, and then once they get in there, they're going to see about doing something. I'd love to play against that kind of thing. But so with some big parameters like that, but once you're in it, then the Soviets get to do whatever they get to do, but they might not just get to, invade Turkey just because, hey, yeah, it opens up a new front and we'll be ready for them. No, that would be sort of like, no. And so, yeah, some house rules, some parameters. So it isn't necessarily who can out-strategize, like take Turkey and move around and sort of say Germany doesn't get to take Turkey either. So Turkey gets to stay neutral. And things like that would be sort of known. Okay, and that's just that. Okay, naval strike tactics. And I think that would be a fun series to watch. So your skill is, there's certain limitations, but what I see is historical limitations, not just that. And once you get into it, and if you can overrun me, great, go for it. Oh, I was also asked about, I needed to do better anti-aircraft techs, unless you suggested by Suter, unless I was trying to play historical, and better fire control and damage control type stuff. Well, these will upgrade on ships that are already out in service, where these will not upgrade in ships already out in service, unless you do this option. This is just sort of part of the training. Unless it's in base, you hit this, and then you want to upgrade this light carrier to a light carrier, but what that does is it upgrades it to the current version of the light carrier. So it can take quite a while. It costs less ICs than making a new one, but so like if you've improved carriers a lot, and your light carriers or new ones are much improved, and you want to send them back to the shipyards and have them partially dismantled and put in new engines or whatever that would account for it, you can do that. But damage control and fire control and radar, once we get them, and that kind of thing, those will upgrade through the normal upgrade process here. So that we need more. Oh, so since that will upgrade through that process. And so that is why I have delayed. Oh, we still need to, that is why I've delayed some of these, because we're going to have the fairly long gap, and I want to have the ships, maybe some battleships, but definitely some light and heavy cruisers more I want to put into production, and they have a long build time. And so if we can get this done in 39 here, I can start building all these in 1940 and have that much better ships instead of build them now. Large caliber machine guns, that's a worthy thing to do. So I think I've got all the structural ones either researched or being researched for the ships that I want to do. And it's like, you know, like aircraft, they'll go through the upgrade process. And so, you know, I can build them now and then continue to, you know, research better techs and I'll upgrade. And that's fine, and I'll pay for the upgrades. That's all fine. Yeah, they're almost there. Okay. Well, you guys can go after the capital. And another like house rule would be Italy can't, sort of like what I could do here, just simply stay at war with Jiang and not take their capital and just sit on the defensive. I would also say, you know, a similar thing. Italy has to actively pursue taking out Ethiopia instead of just leaving the capital alone, taking everything else, and allowing that to have the different at-war benefits for Italy, for, you know, being sort of a non-war war with Ethiopia at that point. Those kind of tactics and things for either side I wouldn't want. So it's not, like I say, it's not meant to make okay, we want to move this to here because we want to get this Germany or the Axis to win, but it is, you know, and I'd also love to, quite honestly, have a French player. See, you know, because there can be a British player, and the British player can make the decision: do they want to send the BEF? Is it worth trying to fight the Germans with the BEF? And I don't know that it is. I've seen, particularly in Hearts of Iron 4, but a little bit of Hearts of Iron 3, trying to get the units out and keep them fighting as long as they can. But if there's a human player, it might be worthy to send the BEF. Human French player. And, you know, that I would want just to do that. That would be cool. Okay, small ship armor has advanced. Very good. And that is also some of the reason I've delayed until a little bit later doing the armor on some of these things, is that they are generally quicker to build than some of the other stuff. And I like faster ships than slower ships, because the heavier the armor is, generally speaking, also the slower the ship is. I don't know exactly how all of this worked out. Well, let's come up and look here. If we're going, oh yeah, we want to do that. Might as well get these early, and yeah, we'll pay the slight penalty for researching before the year, but it's not the major penalty. Get your research bonuses, your tech bonuses, or your education bonuses. I guess I should say, as early as possible. If you're going to get them at all, get them early, because that way they will, you know, work out. How are we doing for revolt risk around here? Okay, well, talking about that, there we go. And then once you take that out, well, now come down here. I think you may already be there, then to here, then to there. Okay, this has a little too much right there. So let's send, now let's look here for, there is not much infrastructurally. That was sort of the kind of the things I was looking at as to where to send some of these. We're not going to get it below the, you know, basically 2% revolt risk. Well, I might as well sit on top of that. Well, they're not going to stay there for long. These we also might as well move to, well, maybe not, well, gonna need some forces ready to take on, particularly the British at some point. This may be a good, I don't know, good unit here to be ready to. Okay, 2 divisions that have armor support, 2 mountain divisions, and what is that? Reasonable infantry division. Looking for units for in here. Oh, here. Come down from the north through the mountains. Oh, we want to do party rally for sure. I do think, I may be wrong about it, we are seeing maybe some units here sort of being wasted against my frontier that has no infrastructure, so there's no way we could directly attack there, and the AI isn't really seeming to take that into account. I guess this would just be the best way instead of clicking on everything else. Yeah, because all of this is closed here. We can't be right on the border. Just here and down here. This is sort of, I think it was here that the Japanese and the Soviets were sort of shooting each other for a while in 38. Then I also think there was some other stuff up here too, but maybe it was more over here, I don't know. But they're limiting this, I think, in the idea to, you know, allow the Soviets to better defend their border with Japan if and when attacked from 2 front, you know, while being attacked from the other front. So they're wasting, you know, garrison units here that we know would be better on the east, or, you know, their western front, I guess I should say, from this perspective, you know, or somewhere, and just, you know, stacking up a reasonable number of units right along there, though there might be an event that removes some of that. Okay, major victory, great. Remove some of this, because this is definitely an artificial. Border limitations. But I do think having some troops here that would sort of make the Soviet go, yeah, we've got to worry about Japan there, help the Germans out. I really think it will. Maybe not critically, but I think it will help. I'm almost sure it will. Okay, we're at 1940, so let's... I mean, it's fine to do 1940 techs, but I really would rather do techs like these, that if I get early... Because right now, if I get, oh, better blitzkrieg, yeah, I got a year, 2 years, whatever, before I need to actually use much of that, though decryption, of course, mostly in this game for sub stuff. So again, that's a while can be done. So it's probably better. But these would be, you know, improvements now, as well as like now that's really hard to get in peacetime tanks and radios and tanks, I should say. But if it's something that you need a few levels, sort of like we're doing down here, get a few levels to unlock something else, yeah, that's, you know, a prerequisite for some other things that are going to take a while. Supply production would be useful now, you know, improve that. Just ICs could be more efficiently used. Some of these other techs we could start on. Yeah, I think we're gonna do. Let's do railroad networks. And small ship engines have advanced, which allows us to research small engine classes, ship classes. These obviously don't have the same lead time that big ships do to produce, but we still might as well get that done now. Yeah, okay, you've taken them out. Now go up and guard the port and better suppress the troops around there. Okay, that's looking a little better here. We have stacked a whole lot of units here that, although most of these aren't good units for suppression, it's just enough of them does the trick. And since I'm a human player and don't feel I need to, say, surround the enemy before attacking or anything like that, it's not going to be a terribly hard job to manage them. It'll be a bit of a one, sort of like anti-aircraft. No one's attacking me with anti-aircraft now. They will be most likely eventually, but so I'm looking for various structural, or we got those. Yeah, better air engines, that would be good. That's a 39 tech, so we've got our 2 airborne divisions. Don't know where are our airborne HQs. I think we have some. Mountain ones were starting out up there. We also have Army HQ. Do we have any airborne HQs? Maybe we don't. Command. No, we don't have any para HQs. That'd be something to try to research. Well, maybe we should do more of these. Okay, well. Oh, that's another thing we do need to do more of. We have a few. And we are building one of these guys. Heavy transports. Between that and our few other transports, I think we'll do okay. Okay, let's see. Who did they pick for us? Battle expert with 0 skill experience, whatever. Nah, that's not a good choice. That would be an okay choice. So would that, because you can do both marine and airborne. I am definitely much more accepting of faceless and probably, you know, pure. I'm presuming purely made up leaders. It's just with Revolverhelds and a few other people's work. Germany mostly has enough to, if you can, you know, decide not to give every little anti-partisan unit type person. Why the hell they couldn't do an AI that would spot. Oh yeah, it has airborne qualities. Do we have any decent airborne generals? Yeah, let's give it to them. You know, why they couldn't have done that. Because I sort of, mostly in my head, but a little bit on paper, worked out if-then statements on how to work this with the AI, you know. Does it have, you know, airborne units? Then, oh, okay, do we have an airborne general? We'll assign an airborne general to it, kind of thing. And that would have made most, 95% of players could stop even worrying about this, because it would just assign reasonably decent commanders to it, and we could just play. And those who want to micromanage it, you know, put the historical commander in the historical slot or something like that. Well, great, they can do that. These would also be good. One of these texts too, which we want to get to. I just want to do some of these things first. Okay, they've exhausted themselves. Now we get to advance up there. And light cruiser engine has advanced. Very good. Yeah, so yeah, this is going to be perfect timing. Defensive positions, which garrison detachment, tropical island garrison, garrisons, and sea garrisons. Don't know what sea garrison, or conscript garrisons. I don't know what those units are specifically, but yeah, all of those will definitely help. Because we are going to, we have a bunch already. We're going to have more for out in places like this. And as I've talked, I am not planning on doing big uber forts. I'm pretty sure pillboxes help, including not just, you know, not just coastal defenses. So, and they're fairly cheap, so I'll probably build a few of those. You know, not few levels, but maybe, well, maybe 1 or 2 levels, but on these islands. But I'm not going to go big time to defensive. I really plan, the whole goal is to make them like, oh yeah, you know, they've got to get a couple, 2 or 3 real divisions. So you got to get the, you know, the transports together, real divisions, and these guys, you know, they can put up, well, you know, this is obviously a very weak unit here on, what's this island? Satawan, okay, but our truck is a much bigger, and you got that plus this. So yeah, with something like this, yeah, you can put up a real defensive fight. It's not going to be a quick overrun, but the whole idea is to delay them long enough so that my fleet can come in and air power can come in and smash their invasion fleet. If I can do that, preferably multiple times, and smash their fleets, that is the goal and objective, and take them out. And so that's all it is. It isn't sort of Fortress Pacifica, and that's trying to, you know, defend Japan from the land. Okay, good. We're already into some of these now. These radar stations, we will get better and better ICs on these as time goes on. As you guys know, and I'm going to keep doing it, and it's not, well, in a way it is a sales job, I guess, but it's not trying to sell you on it now. I love, you know, the radar imaging, tell you how much area you're seeing with that, though this does help seeing land units, because this also includes radio intercepts, as well as the idea of, you know, actual radar going out and pinging aircraft and or sea-based aircraft or sea-based ships. But it's also the you know, the idea of listening for enemy communications to identify ground units, and so all that helps, and that'll help the radar impacts on fighters and, or, you know, on air battles, as we can see with fighter ground control radar impact. You know, we're going to do some of these things as well, so that those will all be helpful. Okay, carrier aircraft prototype advanced, that is pushing through here. Okay, that's grayed out, getting towards the zero. Remember, the zero is sort of like a, I think it's a early 1941 design. And before that, their Japanese fighter aircraft are at best okay, and they're Japan, and this Captain Hara, who wrote Japanese Destroyer Captain, the book, very much talks in his book that the sort of bumbling, bad, out-of-date pilots and the old, out-of-date aircraft, kind of thing, I sort of mixed the two up there, but bumbling pilots and out-of-date aircraft was actually an impression that Japan wanted to give to the rest of the world. They wanted to make, it was a long-term, shall we say, deception plan, that they wanted to make everybody out there in Europe, in America, think that, yeah, Japanese pilots, they're okay, they can fly. Yeah, Japanese has a bunch of planes, but they're sort of old, and yeah, they're great for fun, you know, fighting the, excuse me, you know, the Chinese or whatever, but they're not that good. Getting the hiccups, sorry. You don't need to worry about them. Don't worry too much about them. They specifically had that as a plan, so to fool other nations, to make them feel non-threatened by Japanese aircraft. And so that very much was a plan. Electronic computing machine. Yes, we got that one fast because we already, through various means, already had a lot of that research, so that's good. Which, of course, this will mean more research possibilities. Oh, good. One of the paddles here. Headquarters unit wins. Well, very good. Okay, let's save this. And we had a crash there. Okay, well, I'm going to end the episode here. Let's look and see what that is. I don't know. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. Love to hear your comments. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.